to say y'all are lucky, but I think you're very lucky to be here because the Travis County Sheriff's Department has put together a great program for you. And I think you're really going to enjoy it. I think it's going to be very beneficial. I'll talk more about that in a second. But first is the Sheriff of Travis County. He is here right now. Big round of applause for Greg Hamilton.
First of all, I'd like to say good morning, and I would like to thank the individuals that put this event on, that came to me, that talked about doing something about what's happening in our schools, and that's bullying. How many people have heard of all the bullying going on, not only in your school, but around the country? I hope everybody would raise their hand. And that's one of the things that we would like to address, and that's Kelly Page and Florence Brasenio, these two individuals. Please raise your hands. And without the individuals that have these brown uniforms or khaki uniforms on, helping to put this thing on, we wouldn't be able to do it. But also I'd like to thank the school districts. I think we have some athletic, I know we have one athletic director here. Do we have any athletic directors here? Would you please stand? Thank you. I believe we are going to have some superintendents here from school districts. We have superintendents, please stand. Well, we're going to get this party started here. We hope that everyone here find this particular summit or conference educating. We hope that you'll be able to take some things back with you to the school. School's about to crank up. And I think that it is apropos based on the heels of what's happened at the University of Texas right now. I know a lot of you are UT fans, and you see what's happening with the football team. And I think that bystander intervention, if they had that, and if they had the skills or the will to address those particular issues, that they wouldn't be having all the problems that they're having. And I would like for you to take that back to your school. It's time for us to stand up for those who can't stand up for themselves. And if we're going to make our schools safer, it's going to start with you. It's not going to start with the teacher or the principal or the superintendent or the athletic director. It's time for you to stand up. And one of the reasons that we picked athletes to start this program, hopefully this will grow and we'll reach out to the ROTC, to the band members, to just Joe Citizen that's in the school district, that individuals will start standing up for each other. Because it's important to keep your classroom, your school district safe. And it's up to you to stand up. I used to be an athlete myself about 100 pounds ago. What are you laughing at? But I used to be part of a group, and we used to stand up. I know when I was going to high school, we had individuals that would pick on individuals all the time. It was individuals that were scared to not strike back, but to speak up. And there was athletes that stood up for these individuals. And I challenge each and every one of you today to make a commitment before you leave this conference, this summit, that you make a commitment that you're going to do everything possible to start standing up for those who can't stand for themselves. Thank you all for being here. I know that you all could be doing a lot of things, but you chose to come here, and that shows that you have an initial commitment. But today, let's solidify it at the end of this day that you're going to do something at your school and make it a safer place. Thank you all.
KERI Potts has an amazing story. First of all, she played volleyball at Syracuse, which is pretty impressive. I don't care who you are, where you are, when you're able to play college sports, especially at a Division I school, it's very impressive. So she did a lot there. And if you're a sports fan, I think a lot of you must be sports fans if you're an athlete as it is. The fact that you work for ESPN, just, yeah, in some ways you're like, wow, what a neat thing. You get to work for ESPN. She actually, after college, she worked for the NCAA in Indianapolis and then took over the ESPN. She's practically the boss there, aren't you? Practically. She's been there for quite a while in various different roles as a senior director of communications for college sports, working for all the different ESPN networks, ESPNU and ESPN and the regional networks and whatnot. The biggest story that she has is that she was on vacation in Rome. Wouldn't that be fun? Go overseas. I've never been to Europe. Just to imagine taking a vacation to Europe would be fun. But while she was there, she survived an attempted rape. Talk about your vacation going wrong. And now she's a classic fight back woman. And she's here to tell her story and hopefully answer any questions that you have. Everybody give a big round of applause for KERI Potts.
Can you hear me? Is it working all right? Okay, perfect. Hi, everyone. Good morning. I flew in from Atlanta yesterday, but I want you to know they secured me to talk to you guys over a year ago. I was so excited when they told me I'd be speaking to high school student athletes. Those are my people. All right? Those are my people. You guys were selected, right? You were nominated and identified as leaders. So we have a lot in common because I was you a very long time ago. And I had dreams and I loved playing sports. And so looking out at you, I'm really excited. I want this to be kind of a conversation. I know sitting there is really tough, right? You're right here, you're like, where's the food? Right, I'm so ready for lunch. I got it. I understand. Bear with me. If I see you Snapchatting or Instagramming, come get your phone. I just need your attention for a little bit. I know grown-ups tell you all the things you should and shouldn't do, and I know that's really hard to process sometimes, but I'm going to try to tell you about what happened to me, and then when you leave here, there's just 2 or 3 things I'm going to ask you to do, or maybe think about doing just because I've asked you to, and because I've told you things about me. I'm actually going to show you a photo of me that I've never shown anyone, because it embarrasses me. But I want you to see what happened to me, so you understand that there's a face to the crime of sexual assault. And it's people that you know, it's people that work, people who come talk to you, that this happens to. And I'm here to recruit you. Any of you gotten recruiting letters yet? Are you too young? Some of you? Okay. That's right. It's all right, it's a good time. It's fun. You get letters from people telling you that they want you. So let's pretend that's what I'm doing here. I need to recruit you. I need you guys on my side. To help be the change. I need you to be the change. And it sounds really hard, and it might be a little uncomfortable, some of the things I talk to you about and ask you to do, but I believe you can do it, and the fact that you're here means a lot of people believe that you can do it, so have the confidence. You guys are different. People look up to you. You guys stand out from the crowd, so you guys are already heads and shoulders, and you're above average. So if you're above average, I'm going to ask you to do above average things, right? Keep doing that. And that's how I got where I am. I'm not too shabby. I'm a leader, and I'm comfortable saying that finally. It doesn't mean I'm cocky. It means I'm confident. As he mentioned, I was a volleyball player. I did the club tour. Anyone do like power leagues with their like softball teams or volleyball teams? You travel on your weekends. I dedicated my life to being an athlete. It's all I ever wanted to do was play in college. And when recruiting time came, I was so excited to pick Syracuse University. Love the orange. It's up in New York. I don't know whoever's been there. But that's me. Like, you can see almost all the way up my nose in that photo. Number 5, I played there when Donovan McNabb was there. He's kind of a decent quarterback, I hear. Had a lot of fun being an athlete, right? Everyone kind of knows you on campus. You get to wear fun stuff. They give you Nike sneakers. You travel around. You miss class. I played so long ago that they had black and white photos, people, okay? But I want you to see on the bottom there, I didn't take it lightly. I Who in this room is a captain? Do you have any captains? Okay, it's a few of you. I was co-captain of my team. I was top athlete at the school, and I was also a top student. I graduated in 3 years. In my 4th year, I got my master's degree because it was free. So if you ever get a full scholarship or even close, try to be efficient. That's my advice. Student loans are bad, very bad. As I mentioned, I worked at the NCAA. That was my first job out of college, but I worked at Nike also in my summer. So I've been at Nike, I've been at the NCAA, been at really cool places. And then in 2003, ESPN. And that's how most of you have come to know me. That's how most people know me. So what is my job? I'm a spokesperson for college sports. I'm the person that's out in front on TV, talking about our people, talking about our shows. I stand up at podiums like this and I get really bossy. I wave my finger around, tell people things. Right? So don't I look like commanding there, right? You're gonna do this. I don't even know who I'm talking to. I travel with a show called College Game Day. Woo! I spend every weekend with these guys. These are my people, Kirk and Chris and Lee. I get to go to a lot of cool venues and stand in fun places and take pictures. But I'm also working my butt off. Don't even think for a second I'm not, okay? It's tough stuff. I mean, college sports, as you know, is played on the weekends. I don't think I've had a weekend in 11 years. I also travel with basketball. And these photos are here just to get your attention because I know sitting there is like really hard, right? So I'm a Syracuse Orangeman. I love this. Syracuse went there this year. Everybody went crazy. So you can see hoops. I'm a big hoops fan. Okay. So that's me just like super happy, loving my job. Life is great. I have the dream job everybody wants. I see famous people all the time. I've met everyone you can imagine. In sports, there's not an athlete I don't think I haven't met, or a celebrity. Okay. This day is really important. This was the last day that I was in Italy on vacation. I was in Rome. I was traveling with a friend. I usually actually go overseas by myself. I like to travel through Europe by myself. I'm that confident, like, who's gonna mess with me? I'm 5'10", I'm a pushy New Yorker, okay? I'm pretty confident. But I came up against something that I was not prepared for. A man asked me on a date. I hadn't been on a date in 2 years, by the way. Why? I'm married to my job. As I just told you, all the fun places, kind of hard to have a date. But he seemed like a nice guy. Totally innocuous. Said to me very quietly, I'd like to meet you for a drink. It's the last night of my vacation, and I'm a good kid. I never got in trouble, okay? I'm thinking, well, that would be really nice. Rome is kind of a pretty place. It's kind of romantic in Rome if you ever get to go there. Wow, a nice guy wants to take me on a date. I was 32 years old at the time. So I know you guys are young, and I know you don't have these conversations yet, but I'm going to now tell you that you need to start having them, especially at your age, to the extent that you're comfortable. But when you start involving yourself in dating, there's conversations you have to have, and sometimes they're uncomfortable. And at the start of this date, I told him, I'm not having sex with you tonight. Let's be clear about that. You may buy me a drink, and we can go out, you're a nice guy, but I have a flight to catch tomorrow. This is not ending in that regard. Are we clear? Yes, we're clear. I had a curfew, told him when I needed to be home. He lived like 3 blocks from my hotel. I was very comfortable. I've been to Rome a few times, so I knew where I was. I watched what I drank. I had 1 glass of wine. I didn't have any more than that for a really long time. I thought, check. Know where I'm going, check. Told him I'm not having sex, check. Watch what I'm drinking, right? Those are all the things they tell you to do. Nothing bad's going to happen. But I was dealing with someone who was very experienced at this crime. And I had none coming up against that. Later in the evening, when I tried to end the date, to go home, he decided I wasn't going anywhere. I went to exit his apartment where I had gone to see the art that he does. He's an artist. He has a rooftop view of the city that he does his painting on. And it was true. It was beautiful, actually. I could see all of Rome. I could see the Vatican in the distance. We had a really great conversation about art, about him traveling the world for art. And believe me, when I'm in sports all the time, like, there's a certain level, like, I can't hear one more thing about football. Like, I'm gonna just overload, you know? The smell of, like, you know, sneakers and you know, to be with an artist is actually kind of exciting. And I went to go exit the apartment door, and it was locked. And from behind me, he said, "You're not going anywhere tonight. You are not going anywhere." And a chill went up my spine. And every time I tell that, I get choked up. My life changed that night. That man let me know he had no intentions to let me out of that room unless he violated my body. He put his hands on me. He forced his hands down my pants. He bit my face. He scraped my back. He stalked me. He saw how afraid I was. And he didn't care. I said, "No, I want to leave." He said, "I don't care." We always teach you guys, no means no. And there's a problem I have with that, because I had no answer for what happens when they don't care when you say no. And so began my education on this crime from that moment. I believe that being an athlete is what saved my life, and I hope you guys relate to some of this as I tell you. As this man was preparing to lock me in completely into this apartment and to brutalize me, I'm thinking, what's my next option? How do I get out of this? How do I get out of this? Come on, Keri, you've got this. You guys ever be on the field of play and you're like sucking wind? You know, you're like, I am gonna just pass out. I'm so tired. You can't. You have people relying on you and you're saying, I got this. Come on, come on. Just dig deep. Come on, Keri. I must have said it to myself 1,000 times. And it was to give myself the push I needed to get through this being scared, through getting through the concern that this is not good. I might fail. I might fail to get out of here. So he's stalking me and I'm thinking, okay, this is really bad, but you know what, Keri? I had confidence in myself. You can do this. And I'm identifying ways to get out of that room. And when he went to lock the sliding glass door to the patio that I'd just been out on looking at the night sky, I lowered my arm and I went plowing right through him. I physically attacked him to save myself. And I got in a fist fight with a grown man. I had never been touched in violence by a man, and let me tell you, this is not the time you want that to happen. He was a lot bigger than me. He punched me in my face. That first moment, when you realize a man has hit you, the thing that they're never supposed to do, that they always tell you men are never supposed to put their hands on a woman, it's horrifying. It broke my heart. He and I fought back and forth and back and forth, and I was taking blows that if I had not had the adrenaline pumping through my body, the adrenaline that you guys feel when you're having like a great game, when you want to kill the ball, when you want to score a touchdown, that adrenaline kicked in, and it is what carried me through. And I was so excited that I actually knew what that feeling is, when the adrenaline goes and you start shaking and like suddenly you can't feel a thing because it's humming in your ears. That's what happened to my body when I was being assaulted. And it helped me get out of it. It helped me so much that it helped me when I'm out on that patio and he's punching me and I'm punching him, that I looked over the balcony ledge and thought, I'm 6 stories up. I think I can make it over that. I think I can jump off this ledge and land about 7 feet down there. And I think I can climb my way out of this. Now, I don't know whoever here has been to Europe, but the buildings are very old, right? Very tight together. A lot of different roof heights. They're all kind of like pieced together. They don't look like our cities do. I liked my chances. I liked my chances because I had confidence in my body, that I could navigate things, that I was strong, that I could control myself and not slip and fall. I climbed down 6 buildings, 4 stories at 2 a.m. I was in knee-high boots, jeans like this. I was terrified. I was bleeding horribly from my face. I thought he was chasing me. I am suddenly being chased from a man that wants to rape me through the back neighborhoods of Italy. And hours before, I'd just been asked on a date. I never stopped saying to myself, you got this, Keri. You got this. Just keep going. You're doing so well. You are doing so well. The mantra that you guys say to yourselves when you are competing, when you got having a tough practice, when you think you just have nothing left, that's what helped me get through. And I got to my apartment door there where I was staying, when I got away from him, I threw my hands up like Rocky. I am such a badass. I'm like screaming. I don't even know what I'm saying. I am so proud of myself. Like, I am like, oh yeah, man, I got you. Like, I don't even know what, I mean, it was ridiculous. Ridiculous. It's like I had just scored, you know, I just had like made 10 kills on the court by myself. Like, set myself the ball and actually, like, that's how like amazing I felt, you know, just euphoric. But here's the part that's, I really want to hammer home to you guys, is it didn't end there. I wanted that guy's blood on the plate. I wanted him to be punished. I went to the embassy in Rome, and the officer there said to me, you could get on that plane and go home, or you can do the right thing and prosecute him. Now let me tell you, if you were ever assaulted, if any of you ever had a family member, you do not have that responsibility. All you have to do is survive. They will tell you that. Your only job is to survive. I survived. But as someone who has been given a lot, who's been gifted, I feel that I've been gifted physically by God and given certain leadership traits. Yeah, I'm going to put that on my shoulders. You know what? I can do that. I'm a leader. And what does a leader do? A leader accepts things that sometimes are uncomfortable. Do you think I had any idea how to prosecute a sexual assault in Italy? But I did it. I filed charges. And then I went and hired lawyers in Milan. And I had Marco's photo. Oh, you want to see him? Let me show you what he looks like. Oh, there he is. That's the rapist. Does he look like a rapist? Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Now he does. I had that photo on my fridge, and every morning I'd be making my eggs, and I'm like, I am coming for you, my friend. I'm going to kick your ass. Every day. Every day. And I was relentless, relentless. A year. The prosecutor asked me to come back to Rome. I flew over in the middle of the work week. My coworkers are like, oh, where are you off to? I'm like, I got a trip I got to make. 28 hours in and out of Italy to be interrogated for 6 hours by the prosecutor of Rome about what he did to me. I wanted him off the street. What he had done to me, I can guarantee he has done it many, many times before. He was so comfortable doing it to me. He gained my trust. He had locked me in. He stalked me. He put his hands on me. He thought he had me. He never met me before. He had no idea what he was dealing with. That's how I looked at the start of that date. This is how I wound up 6 hours later. I've never shown this one. It embarrasses me. He bit my face. I have scars on my body from him that I see every day. I hate that he put them there. But it also reminds me a lot of the fight that I had in me. And ultimately what happened with him was he pled guilty. He pled guilty to sexual assault in Italy. That's 10 years. And he pled guilty to simple assault, which is punching my face, He wound up getting a sentence of 11 months, 10 days. And he never spent a day in jail. But I am one of the first and only people to get a conviction on the books overseas. And in the 2 years that it took me to get that, I disrupted his life so much. I embarrassed him in front of his family. He had to pay for all my bills. And in the 5 years after the crime, if he had committed any other crime, he would have had to serve his sentence. And to me, that was the victory. The bigger victory was saying, this does not happen to me. Nobody ever gets to do this to me. How does this relate to what I'm talking to you all about? There was never a time that I believed I surrendered my right to decide who enters my body. That's something that seems to be lost on a lot of today's teenagers. Somehow I'm seeing that if someone's drinking, because there's underage drinking, I'm not clueless, right? That somehow drinking means you surrender the right to decide who enters your body and what people do to your body. Don't delude yourselves, that's not true. When someone's married, they never surrender the right to decide who, when, how with their husband. They don't owe them anything. The law recognizes that, by the way. Whether you dated someone and had sex with them, whether you dated them and broke up, doesn't mean it's a guarantee the next time. That's what I was fighting for. I don't care that I went on a date with someone I just met, and I don't care that I was alone in a room. As a 32-year-old woman who is around a lot of very large men most days of the week, no one gets to do that to me. If everyone believed that, though, I don't think we'd be reading about things like Steubenville. I don't think we'd be reading about teenagers inserting objects into other teenagers' bodies when they're drunk and then recording it on their phone. Somehow there's a belief that you do X and Y, then you deserve it. That you are not allowed to say, you can't do this to me. It's not true. It's not true at all, and don't lie to yourselves that it is. Clearly I'm a victim of the crime, but I want to actually tell you, these are a few photos quickly. This is the balcony I jumped off of. The top part there with the white thing. I landed on that one, went running to the right. It's one of the street views. I think it's like 60 feet. I had to climb around a lot of the spiky things at night. In Rome they have those so people don't get into their property, right? They think it'll impale you. They make it really hard. I went around like 6 or 7 of those to escape. Oh, that was the last drop I almost made, but stopped myself. I thought I was going to break my legs before I actually escaped through a very nice couple's apartment. But I actually, for a very long time, thought I could make that jump. That was me being way overconfident as an athlete, right? I remember standing there going, okay, you know what, now, you're going to lose your legs on this one, and then you're just going to be a heap, in this courtyard. I went on to become a rape crisis counselor in Connecticut, and now in Georgia. And so what I talk to you now about, when I'm going to talk to you about sexual predators, is what I've learned as a rape crisis counselor. I'm continuing the leadership where I believe that I have to lead and tell people about this crime and tell people what's not okay. That's my website. You can read, you can see actually all of my, my court documents in Italian and English. I have them translated. You can see more photos. All my documents with the embassy. If you're ever curious about the prosecution of the crime, I make it, everything I went through is there. But I've been training the last 3.5 years, and I am the first person that a lot of victims see when they come to the hospital or when they call the hotline. Everyone from a 6-month-old baby been sexually assaulted to an 84-year-old woman. Men and women. Like I said, we talk so much about victims. I'm a victim. I'm going to talk to you about predators. They're very a small percentage of the population, you guys, it's not common to be a rapist or a sexual offender. It's not common at all. But the ones who do it, they hardly ever get caught because people don't come forward, because they get scared, because people make fun of them. They're worried what others will think. 15 of 16 rapists never spend a day in jail, so they will do it dozens and dozens of times in their life. They don't just stop at one. You hear a lot about people being assaulted who are drunk. The common theme for someone who seeks out someone to attack is that they're vulnerable. The young, the elderly, the disabled. The disabled are attacked at an appalling rate. Okay? People who are wheelchair bound, people who are in homes. The person who seeks these people out, he's not concerned with consent. He doesn't want your consent. He doesn't want to fight. Marco, I guarantee you, did not want the marks on my body. He wanted me to go down without a sound. And that's what he thought he was going to get. Because it gets really messy once you start having a bloody battle on your porch in front of everybody. And suddenly it gets involved with lawyers. And then they don't want that because that interrupts what they like to do. The term sexual assault has sex in the headline because it involves your sexual organs. That's it. That's where that ends. Sex is consensual between two people. It's a pleasurable experience. These people are not, it's not sex. What they're doing is assaulting someone with an appendage. Okay? They are pushing themselves inside someone else's body or an object. They are doing it because they are so broken inside that they get joy only from doing that. It's not enough that they break something and throw something. You know, you get really mad at your iPhone and you're like, oh, I want to, you know, like that to me like makes me happy when I throw my phone sometimes. This is a whole other level. This is, I'm not happy unless someone's suffering. And there's just no justification for it. It is always on them. It is never on the person that they choose. How does this relate? The guy that assaulted me, he'd been doing it for years. But it starts somewhere. And a lot of the stuff that you're seeing in high school, with, you know, people are drunk and going to parties and, well, I don't like her, she's a skank, like, you know, she deserves it, she shouldn't be with, you know, whatever. That's the time that you can actually nip this in the bud and keep those guys from being successful. But I need you. I need you guys to be the uncomfortable ones at the party to say, absolutely not while I'm here. Doesn't mean you can't have fun at the party. Doesn't mean you have to be the moral police. But if you see something, you absolutely need to step in. It's not an option. You see the kind of nonsense that is going on in the news with kids at parties, being dragged out, being stripped, having photos taken of them. That happened to them because everyone else let it. Dozens of kids just stand there and watch it. You can't be that person. You can't be here today and be recognized as a leader and then go to a party and stand aside and like, well, it's really not my problem. Because those guys, they go on and keep doing it. And they just get more and more aggressive about it. And then I wind up with him on a date, and he's trying to kill me. That's where it starts. It's really uncomfortable. You're going to talk to people today who are going to actually give you like really concrete ways to feel comfortable, because I know it kind of like sucks to try to be the one in the room that says, you know, everyone looks at you and peer pressure and right, you're kind of uncool. You can't worry about that. You can't be a leader and you can't be out in front and then just like shake it off sometimes and be like, well, not today. I'm not going to let you off the hook on that. I'm asking you to be the change and to put aside your discomfort. If you are a team captain and you're on a team and you've got a teammate who's not pulling their weight, they're being lazy, they're making you all run, you get ticked off, right? You say something to them, right? This is no different. It's hard, okay? It was hard to prosecute someone overseas, but all I kept thinking is this can't happen to another woman. It just absolutely can't. It was terrifying. No one needs to ever go through this. I felt a great sense of responsibility, and leaders feel responsibility. You feel responsibility that because you're gifted and because you can lead, that you'll be the one to do the uncomfortable stuff. And some of these tactics, two things. Whenever I went out with my teammates in college, we had no teammate left behind, okay? We had a strategy at a party. If I'm overserved, you're always making sure I get home. It's a covenant you have with your teammates, okay? With your friends. Same thing, no friend left behind. That's one way to help, okay? Sounds like a pain in the butt. So, oh my God, you do it for them and they do it for you. We're all good. What happens when it's someone you don't know and you see something? People here today are going to give you some really concrete ways that when you notice something that's going on, you may not know the guy or the girl, but it just doesn't look right. That you can spend a little time and you evaluate, is this like dangerous? Like, what's this guy trying to do? Why are you paying attention? Because you're a leader and that's what you do, you're different than other people. And you decide what you can do to maybe mitigate it. And it can be as simple as, like, you know what I used to do with my girlfriends when there was a guy who was like really just like way drunk and like hitting on my friend? We used to throw a screen. Like, I'd pop in and be like, hey, I need to talk to her for a second. Hey, I'll be right back. Boom, boom, out, gone. Over. It wasn't like throwing a penalty flag out the back of my pants. I didn't have a bullhorn. It was just get in, get out, break it up. It could be as easy as one of you guys just saying, dude, leave her alone, man. Dude, no, step off. That's social norming. That's you letting them know, like, you isolate them, that is not acceptable behavior. When you isolate them, they're not as likely to repeat it, and that way you stop it. Now, I think it's really awesome if you guys will do that. What's even more awesome? Start by believing. This is something that you can do, I'm not kidding you, when you leave here today, that will absolutely change lives. If someone discloses to you and says, hey man, someone attacked me, it was a coach after practice put his hands on me. Or I was raped, or my father is touching me inappropriately. The only thing that you need to do, just say, I believe you. How can I help? It is so rare that someone will ever tell you. People who are assaulted don't tell people because they're terrified of what you see in the news, right? Their whole lives out in the newspaper, people saying they asked for it, people saying that they're liars. It's so rare. So if someone tells you, recognize that it's a gift. It's rare. And they chose you. And they're going to be very likely to tell you because you are leaders, right? You guys are really good kids. That's what I've heard. They want to go, they'll look up to you. It's very likely they'll come and tell you. If you don't say you believe them, if you question them, if you're like, well, what were you wearing? Well, you kind of like, oh, I don't know that actually happened. They will never tell anyone again. And here's the problem with that. They never tell anyone again, then they don't report it. So that guy just keeps going out there assaulting people. But they also don't seek help. And that's the bigger problem. They don't seek help. Now you're talking eating disorders, suicide, drop out of school. How does that affect you? These are people that will never contribute to society sometimes. They drop out of school. These are brilliant people who may never have had that chance, will never get to see the work that they do. It can be the girl that you fall in love with in college but cannot seem to get close to. She just has a wall up. That's how it affects us when we don't believe people. So that's all I'm asking you to do. So I've asked you to consider and listen to the folks here today about how you can intervene when you see something that's not great. And I'm asking you that when someone tells you to just believe them and ask them how you can help. There's hotlines. There's people like me on the other end. I help. That's my job. Just kick them over to me, There's a phone number. There's an email address. You do that, you are a hero. And you have, the thing about rape, you guys, like I said, it's 6%, it's not contagious. Men who rape, and it's 98% are men, but men who rape, it's not like they go up to a guy who doesn't rape and say, hey, you know what I find really effective if you do this to a girl? And that guy's gonna say, oh yeah, you know, let me give that a shot. It's not like that. It's like going up to saying to someone like, you know, this is a great soda, you might try it sometime. And them saying, oh yeah. Like, it's not something that other people catch on to. If you remove them from the population, you actually stop rape. You actually put them behind bars, you've stopped other rapes from happening because they rape so much. That's why believing someone and making sure that they feel confident and supported is really important. My company believed me, and it was the reason I have healed. Is the reason I do the work that I do. I don't even know what would have happened if they hadn't. That is how powerful it is to believe someone when they tell you they've been assaulted. Lastly, how many seniors are in this room? Okay. All right. Before you go to college, when you pick a college, I'm going to ask you to spend 10 minutes doing something other than Snapchatting and FaceTiming with your friends. I know that's a lot of fun, believe me. Every school has a sexual assault policy manual on their website. I would ask that you maybe read it and decide what you would do if it happened to you, or if it happened to your friend while you're there. What are the services they provide? Think about it ahead of time. Would you want to go to your school, or would you want to go to a place in the county or in the town? Is your school currently being investigated for not handling sexual assault properly? Because there's a lot of them. The White House is all over these schools. They just came out with a revised campus sexual assault best practices, and there are schools from Harvard to Michigan to even Georgia Tech that they have missed the boat. And I'm sure the guys are like, well, why would I need to read that? Fraternities. Sexual predators like to be in closed systems. They like schools, they like the military, they like churches, they like teams. You go out drinking with your teammates. What if someone violates you while you are drunk? That's an assault. That's sexual assault. And don't think for a minute that that's something you're just going to walk away from. So it applies to you as much as it applies to the women in the room. What if a girlfriend comes to you and tells you this happened? Wouldn't you want to maybe be able to help them out? It's 10 minutes I'm asking you to read this. These are things you guys don't think about. I'm telling you, you need to think about them. And then you can go back to your Snapchatting and your Instagramming. When you get to college, or even as you're in high school and you start to have relationships, here's one more place I want you to check out. There are just certain rules about a healthy relationship and what they look like. And these are the things I see a lot with people your age. Get way too attached way too soon, way too wrapped up in each other, jealousy, the way you're talking to each other. There are certain rules and qualities of a healthy relationship, and when those are not present, the relationship deteriorates and people suffer. So I want you to go here. I'm not going to give you all the elements of that, but it'll talk to people, it'll talk to you on your level about a way to be in a relationship and still achieve your goals and still go on and be successful and be leaders, but not to suffer. You should never be suffering in a relationship. And I see a lot of you guys just not quite sure how that works. No one ever gives you a playbook. Trust me, at 37 years old, a lot of my friends, we still can't get it right. But no one ever talked to me about it. So I'm standing here in front of you guys and saying, now you've heard. There's actually rules for this. There's actually best practices. You know? Just like you know how like the best way to hit a ball, the best way to make a block, right? This is that, but that's for relationships. So I have talked to you about what happened to me, and I have talked to you about what I think you can do. I think you have to become comfortable with the idea of being uncomfortable to lead sometimes. And I want you to be that person in the room that leads and says, this is not right. I want when someone tells you that they've been assaulted that you just believe them. It costs you nothing. I don't care what you think about sex and drugs and what, it costs you nothing to say, I believe you do them. And I want you to spend enough time to know what you would do if you were assaulted, because I had never. Once I was assaulted, it was like, oh God, what am I going to do? That was not the time to be having that conversation or learning those things. I believe in you guys. I believe you're here for a reason. I don't think it's an accident that I'm here with you right now. Everything that happened to me that night, anytime I get asked to speak, I believe that is the path that it was all supposed to happen, so I'm in front of you telling you these things. A less pushy person is going to tell you, I know like Charles Barkley says, I'm an athlete. I'm not responsible to anyone. That's very nice for Charles Barkley. He's a very big millionaire. How nice for him. I'm not that person. You need to be the solution, and there really is no option. I know that sounds like work, but the reward is there. And I wanted you also to see that you can be an executive at ESPN traveling around on game day, and you can hold your head high and say, I was a sexual assault victim. And life goes on. And anyone who tells me I deserve it, tune them out. Life went on. I'm not in a corner somewhere, sucking my thumb, afraid of the world. I know that life goes on. And I know you can be successful. And I want you to see that. So you see me up there at podiums being bossy. And you also saw my face busted. And I hope you still respect me for it. Now go get lunch. Thank you.